If you've been following along in this series of videos on leadership, you know that we've been covering the 3 different styles or ways of leading that apply to people at different phases of the relationship. Again, to quickly review, that there's a dictatorial or military style leadership in the early phases, which then moves immediately into the moral or lead by example style leadership. And the first 5 aspects of the 10 we covered in our last video. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the next 5 components of the moral or lead by example style of leadership that, again, was best emulated by Mahatma Gandhi. So the first in this, or the next one in this series, is to literally share the emotions of your dreams, not just the academics, okay? Because here's the piece, you guys. You've probably heard people say that, people make decisions from their emotions and they justify it with their intellect. Well, this isn't just a saying. There's neurology to fit this, right? Because the emotional part of the brain is in the midbrain, commonly in the limbic system. And that is also the decision-making center of the brain as well. So if you're just talking from a left brain analytical standpoint, that accesses the frontal cortex, which is not where decisions are ultimately made. It's where things are analyzed. Executive decision making is processed there, but the final decision is actually made in the midbrain, particularly in the limbic center. So if you want people to follow you, if you want people to become magnetized by your leadership, then you got to be willing to share your heart and soul. Speak to them with passion, speak to them with authenticity, and a great tool is to use testimonials with both your team members and your clients. Share with them the successes and the many amazing things that you have to share. The next one I want to cover is always have time for them, right? Warren Bennis, a famous leadership consultant, says that 90% of the biggest leaders' time is spent solving other people's problems. So if you're going to solve the problem anyways, and one of your team members or a practice member comes knocking on your door, have time for them. Open the door. It's often referred to as a management, by open door management. So always have time for them. Give them that little bit of extra time and do it right away, and watch the trust and commitment, move forward from them, and the magnetism of your leadership start to grow. The next one I want to talk about is to create a dream that is big enough to dedicate your life's spirit to. I find that many people that we've coached over the years, particularly in the profession of chiropractic, are playing way too small. They're minimizing their possibilities of their life. They're not maximizing what it is, the gifts that the creative intelligence gave them. And as a result of that, they're actually bored. They think they're burned out. But in fact, they're actually bored, because we have an inherent growth mechanism in us as human beings. We want to continue to grow. And if we're stuck and we're stagnant because we're just not willing to dedicate and play as big as we know we're capable of, boredom sets in. And boredom and bored out and looks a lot like burned out. But the solution is much, much different. And we actually have a questionnaire about that, which I'll talk to you about later on in this video. So if you dedicate your life spirit to something that's big enough for you, and man, you're probably a lot bigger than you think you are relative to your potential, then that is when you'll create that amazing magnetism that people will follow. The next one I'm going to talk about, which is actually 9th in the list of 10, is calling people to commitments and holding them accountable for those commitments, okay? One of my great mentors in leadership taught me years ago that the best relationships in life have equal amounts of support and equal amounts of challenge, okay? So again, call people accountable to their commitments. Now, the only way you can have accountability is to have agreement. So you got to get clear and create an outcomes assessment for what it is that they're responsible, what outcomes they're responsible for achieving if you're talking about team members, and also with, clients in your business. Make sure that they know how to be a good client or a good practice member. And then hold them accountable. If you told them that it's important for them to follow their treatment schedule and they miss, hold them accountable. Ask them why, what's going on, is there a part of this that they don't understand? What the wimpy leaders will do is they'll try and just fake it and pretend it off because they don't want to upset or they don't want to, be in confrontation. Well, I can tell you something. It's that caring enough, loving enough people to tough love them is really what holding people accountable to the commitments is all about. And again, we're not just talking about your team members, your practice members, we're talking about you as well. Hold yourself accountable, to the commitments that you make. The final one in this series is to literally take them and the game you play seriously. So many people go into this place of comfort in their life. It's like the scariest word in the world of coach advising work, because when people get comfortable, they don't even realize it, but they're actually going backwards. because our lives are built on binary code, zeros and ones. You're either growing or you're dying. There is no such thing as coasting. People believe they're coasting, you're not. The axis is tilted this way, you're actually going downhill. So, if you're not playing big, if you're not taking the game that you're playing seriously, I promise you, neither are the people in your community, neither are your practice members or clients, and neither are your team members. So play big and take the game that you play seriously. Leadership is a dynamic thing. It's not a static thing. Knowing that there's at least 3 different ways to communicate and to lead people at different phases of the relationship is what we wanted to share in this video series. Knowing that moral leadership, leading by example, is an important part for a big phase of a relationship with team members or clients, and becoming a master of these 10 steps will allow you to be that magnetic leader that you've always dreamed of. And as a result of that, you'll be able to fulfill your mission on this planet, have more joy and fulfillment in the process, and make a whole lot more prosperity and abundance in the process. If you're someone right now that's wondering whether you're in that bored out, burned out phase, please click the link associated with this video, take the quiz, find out whether you're bored out or burned out, and then look for the answers as a result of that. This is Dr. Tom challenging you to be more so you can do more and have more of what your heart authentically desires.